All right, in this video we're going to cover how to crop, rotate, and resize the images that you were given in class. So I've downloaded the folder of images, and I'm going to go ahead and open all 4 images into Photoshop. I'm just going to make my workspace bigger and go ahead and clear out some of these panels that I won't be using. I'm going to go over to image 1. So the first thing that we need to do is rotate this image so that it's straight up and down, and then we will rotate it using actually a different tool to finish it and get it not just the file straight up and down, but the actual photograph in the file straight up and down. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and use the rotate tool. So I'm going to go up to Edit, and if I look through here I can see most of these are grayed out, and what I'm trying to use right now is Transform, and it's grayed out. This is letting me know I can't work on this image yet, and the reason for that is the layer is locked. So anytime you bring an image into Photoshop, it's automatically locked for that layer. So if I look over in my layers panel, I can see here is the layer that I brought in and the lock icon over on the right hand side. I'm going to go ahead and click that to unlock the layer, and if I ever want to lock a layer back up again, I just need to make sure I select it from the layers list, and then I can choose this lock icon at the top of the layers list. That would lock it back up. I do need it unlocked to start, so I'm going to go ahead and unlock it. And I'll head back over to the Edit menu from the top menu, and now I can see I can go into Transform. If I hover on that, I see a list of all the transformations I could make, and we're going to go ahead and go into Rotate. I now see a bounding box, and to rotate I need to hover outside of the bounding box. I'll see my cursor change to a curved line with arrows at each end, and I am going to go ahead and click, hold, and drag my cursor, and I can see that I can rotate it to any arbitrary degree. If I hold Shift on the keyboard, it will actually snap it to more specific degrees, and once I get it where I like, if I want to apply that rotation, I need to hit Enter on the keyboard. If I don't want to apply that rotation, I need to hit Escape. Either way, you've got to get rid of that bounding box. So I like what I did. I could go ahead and hit Enter. And I'm going to go ahead and undo so I could show you a bit further this rotate tool. So I'm going to go ahead and Command Z to undo. Then I'll go back into the rotate tool. I'm going to go up to Edit, Transform, Rotate. And just to show you, if I did do rotation that I didn't like and realize I wanted to go leave the rotate tool and do something else, I would, instead of hitting Enter, need to hit Escape. That would take me back out. I'm going to go back up here to the Edit menu to Transform, and from this list I can see near the bottom there are 3 options for quick rotation, so the most common rotations, that I could just click one of those. I'm going to go ahead and Command Z. And finally, I also have the option to free transform. So right above Transform, I have Free Transform. In Free Transform, depending on where I place my cursor, I can do any of those transformations that I saw in the list. For example, if I hover outside of the bounding box, I see that my cursor shows me the Rotate option. So I could, at this point, rotate. I'm going to go ahead and Command Z. Or if I hover inside the bounding box, I can click, hold, and drag that layer around the canvas. I'm going to go ahead and Command Z. If I hover at the corner boxes or the edge box, I can click, hold, and drag in, and probably by default that will be scaling. So scaling while maintaining the ratio of width to height. If I wanted to skew and not maintain that ratio, I could hold Shift, and then it would allow me to go any direction that I want to. I'm going to go ahead and Command Z. So a very quick way, and actually I'm going to go ahead and hit return as well. The keyboard shortcut for free transform is one of those that you'll want to remember. The keyboard shortcut is Command T. That takes me directly into free transform. I can hover at the edge or outside of the bounding box, hold Shift, and quickly rotate that so that the layer is straight up and down. Then I go ahead and hit return. So I didn't try to get the photo in that layer straight up and down. I'm going to use a different tool to do that. So next I need to finish rotating the image inside, and then I need to crop out all of this black frame from the edge so that there is absolutely not even a pixel of it. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my crop tool. So over in your toolbar, 5th tool down. And when I choose that tool, I can look in my options bar. So options bar, this darker menu at the top. And I'm going to start with this drop down menu here. I have ratio. If I drop that down, I can see some different options that we'll talk about in just a second. When it's set to ratio and these two boxes are empty, that means I can hover out on this crop box and I can crop it to any size that I want. I'm going to go ahead and hit escape to get that back out. And if I knew what ratio I wanted to crop it to, I could also dial it into these two boxes here for width and height. And if I ever want to clear those boxes, I have this clear button here. So before we try to crop out, I actually want to go ahead and finish getting this rotated so that this line is parallel and that the file is straight up and down, or the image in the file is straight up and down. For that, we're going to use this tool right here in your options bar. This is straighten. So to use it, I'm going to click on the icon. Looks like a little level. I hover out on my canvas and I can see this little level attached to my cursor. I'm going to click and hold and drag my mouse and I will get this line. I'm going to take that line and follow it along any straight line that I want to create in my image. So I'm using the top of this photo. And once I let go of the mouse, then it rotates for me. If I want to apply it, I can go ahead and hit return. If I don't, I can hit escape. So I have now finally gotten the photo straight up and down, but I still have some of this black frame left over. I'm going to go back into crop here in a minute, but first we're going to talk about zooming in and out. We want to make sure that we are zooming in when we're cropping so that we get absolutely every pixel of that black frame cropped out. So over in your toolbar near the bottom, you'll see what looks like a little spyglass. This is the zoom tool, and if I look up in the options bar, I have a plus zoom and a minus zoom, so zoom in, zoom out. So whichever one I want to use, I go ahead and click on it, hover on my canvas, and I am increasing my zoom now, just clicking. Then if I go back and grab the minus and click, I'll zoom out. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back in. While zoomed in, you can hold the space bar on the keyboard. That temporarily takes you into another tool, the hand tool. If I look over my toolbar, I can see it is a tool, but you actually usually don't ever need to go into it. You can just use space bar. So I hold space bar and that means I can move around my image when I click and hold and drag my mouse. I also have some quick options up here. So if I wanted to see my file at 100%, I could click 100%. If I wanted to fill the screen, so the screen meaning this area that you can see, or if I wanted to make sure to fit the whole thing onto the screen so I could see it all. So the zoom tool, like the hand tool, you'll very rarely actually use the tool from the toolbar. You're going to want to remember the keyboard shortcuts so that when you're in one of the other tools, you can temporarily go into the zoom tool so you don't have to leave the other tool. That's usually the way this is done. So keyboard shortcut to zoom in is Command plus. To zoom out is Command minus. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, Command plus. When zoomed in, I can hold the space bar to move around the image. And if I want to quickly fit to screen, I can Command 0. So you'll want to remember those keyboard shortcuts. So with those in mind, I'm going to go and turn the crop tool back on. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. So Command plus. Then I'm going to hold my space bar and move over to the corner. And now I can really see in here where the edge is and make sure that I get all the black cropped out. Keep in mind if you are grabbing the edge, and if I grab the corner, I can actually do 2 edges at one time. I'm going to slightly crop in. It's better to slightly crop in to make sure that you get absolutely all the black cropped away, but you don't want to crop in too far. You don't want to crop out any important information. If that line is snapping too close to the edge, you can zoom in more and the increments will be smaller, and that might help. So now I'm going to go ahead and hold spacebar and move over to the other corner, the opposite corner. And I can pull these 2 edges in. And it's kind of dark in this corner, so I was actually looking up here at the lighter sides. And the crop itself does actually have a little black line, so don't let that fool you. So a way that you can be sure is when you grab that line, if you just take it further in and then you can back out, so that black line doesn't confuse you. Once you think you have it all cropped out, because we used that straighten tool, we may or may not have gotten it perfectly straight. So I'm going to go ahead and hold spacebar, and I want to make sure to go around the entire perimeter of the image so I can be sure that I did actually get all the black cropped out. Once I think I have it, I'm going to go ahead and hit enter to apply that crop. Command 0 to fit to screen. Those things that we've just gone over, you're going to want to do that to all 4 images that came in that folder that you downloaded. So once you do all of those, you'll do that to each of your images, but at this point, we're going to resize and then save our file as an output file. For those, you're going to want to refer back to the assignment description, and it's going to say which ones you're going to need to do for each image. So the first set we're going to do will be for image 1, and then I'll go through the rest and show you how to do those as well.